talking about how there is a little bit of the sector moves, happening unequally. But even within the sector, okay, we just looked at Williams Sonoma, WSM, horrible day. Walmart, and Walmart was one of those double bottoms. But gosh, I can't tell you how many double bottoms I saw that were like, is it a double bottom or is it a flat base based on the depth? These double bottoms that were 10% or less. Like, how often do you see that in a double bottom? So you had Walmart that's looking great, but then you have Target that it comes out with earnings and it was already in a downtrend. Doesn't look great. You've got Lulu on the apparel side. That's not looking great. And then you have Abercrombie and Fitch.
Or even Ulta, right?
Yeah. So I mean, there just really seems to be this dichotomy. It's like, if you want to say, oh, retail stocks are doing great, you can choose which ones you want to look at and you'll be right. And if you want to say, oh man, retail stocks are getting hammered, you can choose and you can find some that are doing really bad. So how do you make sense of that when they're so different?
It's kind of like you have to follow the new high list. Whatever sector, like, if dairy stocks are rolling, you have to stay with that sector of the market. I mean, it's bifurcated in retail. By the way, this Abercrombie and Fitch chart, the left-hand side is so erratic. I think this is flawed. Now, the stock could cleanse the sins away with some kind of crazy explosion up, but the left-hand side is way too erratic for me. And with so much good merchandise to go after, I would absolutely pass on that. I mean, I think Bill would look at that and go, oh, it's too loose on the left side. Now it tightened up, and it also has had a tremendous run. Doesn't mean it can't have a much further run, but I just don't like it. Blink, Malcolm Gladwell. I have a blink look at that.
Yeah. Well, actually, anecdotally, I will say that I did an unofficial survey of my daughter and her friends, asking like, hey, what do you guys think of Abercrombie and Fitch? And they were like, you know what? The jeans completely caught us by surprise last year, but everybody's kind of knows about that now. It's not a surprise anymore. So I'm like, hey, thank you for that. I mean, it was decent stock analysis there. She wasn't even looking at the chart, but what were you going to say, Arusha?
Well, so the Abercrombie and Fitch chart reminds me of what Elf did last year. We had that really strong move, couldn't break the 50, then finally broke it, formed a new base, and was able to have another run, a decent run, not nearly as strong as the other run. And then after that, at least with Elf, it looks like it might need more time off. So that's kind of what I'm looking at with Abercrombie. Maybe, you want to keep an open eye, and maybe it does have a little bit more room left. We'll find out next week when they report earnings, it looks like. So that'll probably tell us a lot. But some of these charts, when they're just so strong, they might have a little bit more momentum to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Jim, what about commodities? Let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, you've been pounding the table on gold for a while as the Mona Lisa of cup with handles that you can look at on long-term charts. And man, commodities got kind of hit today. Whether it was gold, oil, the metals. I mean, copper was
killed,
just absolutely killed. Absolutely. So and again, I think this speaks to a larger part, what you were saying earlier. Look, sometimes in a trend, you're going to have a bad day. That doesn't kill the trend. But when you have a day this bad, does it kind of shake things up a little bit for you?
I call them Mother Teresa or Gandhi days. Mother Teresa was uber virtuous. And one day she walked into a 7-Eleven and cursed at the counter person behind the counter for no reason. But she remained a virtuous person.